I just finished my first book of 2024, and that was The Way I Am Now by Amber Smith. This is the sequel to the book The Way I Used to Be, which came out like 10 years ago. And I really liked that book. It's a hard book to get through, but it was also very, very good. And I definitely loved Josh and Eden. They do have like a little bit of an age gap, and that does come into play with the conflict that's part of that book, as well as even in this book. Because in this book, it's like years later, but Eden is still only 17 and Josh is in college and he is 20. But I've just always loved them together. And when you see how supportive he was of her going through everything, not only in The Way I Used to Be, but how that continues now, years later, when the age gap isn't quite as significant. You know, she's in her senior year of high school. She's about to graduate and go to college. There is a trial that is coming up where they're deciding if they have enough evidence to go to trial to prosecute Eden's predator or attacker or whatever you want to call. And so this definitely has to do with like Eden's struggles with anxiety and how she is still dealing with the ramifications of that act that took place years ago. But she's now in therapy. She's not abusing drugs and alcohol. She's not sleeping with everybody that has a pulse. And so now she's kind of in a place where if she did want to pursue something with Josh, they could go about that. And this book definitely is a romance, and it does end in a like happy for now way where you feel pretty self-assured that they're going to be together. I loved getting to see the like I love yous and Eden to be able to express that back, because that was definitely not something that she was able to do in the first book. And so I just really loved that, and I just love them together. Always been a fan of Josh. I feel like his reactions to things are so realistic, but they're also, for the most part, the ideal reaction that you would want if you were going through something like that, to like have someone in your corner that you're not having to constantly explain yourself to, but that also will ask you needed questions to make sure that you are okay. So, yeah, I enjoyed it. If you read The Way I Used to Be and you wanted some resolution when it came to like, is she going to get her happy ever after all of this trauma, then you should definitely check out The Way I Used to Be. This is written by an author who has experienced the same thing in her past. And so she's open about that, and she wrote this. And one of the things in this book, it actually, I believe it opened up by the author talking to the audience and the reader and saying, you know, I never really intended to publish The Way I Used to Be when I initially wrote it, because it's kind of like exposing her own trauma. But she published it, and it meant so much to so many people, because becoming sexually promiscuous as a result of SA is not the route that you normally see depicted in fiction, especially for teens, but it is a route that a lot of people who survive that situation do take. And I've seen, I'm not going to name names, but there have been people on BookTube that have reviewed the book and have said, hey, this is how I responded after this. So it like meant a lot to kind of see that in a book where it wasn't demonized, but also shows you like some of the dangers to it as well. And so, yeah, I just all around really love this duology. I've liked everything that I've read by Amber Smith. She comes out with like one book a year because she's traditionally published. I believe I own them all. And I am glad that this one is already seeing some love. It came out, like, I think it came out like in December or something. It has not been out very long at all. And there was like 43 people waiting for the audiobook just in my little bitty libraries. So I was glad that I got it so quickly because I was not expecting that. Yeah, so this came out in 2023 in November. So it has not been out very long, but I'm glad it's getting some love. But anyway, go check that out if that's something that you would like to read about. It is more of the happy sides of things, but also how, like, getting into regular relationships after all of that still has difficulty, even with people that you trust. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it. You should read it, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye!